So, just alluding to how Larissa explained rolling forecast, if I just start to first give you some snapshot of what are the myths of people think rolling forecast is. Sometimes people think that when they are doing planning, and if I go to my next slide, you will see that I have tried to describe it in a very clear, concise way. Rolling forecast is something very different to how we all finance people have done traditional forecasting. It is quick, dynamic, and the most important thing, it doesn't stand across the financial period. It can go over quarters, it can go over 18 months, which are multiple financial year. But the most important thing, it is based on what's happening currently in the business, the industry we belong to, the political scenario of the country we are based, or the global political scenario, or even like the current situation we all are in of the very dreaded coronavirus. Like, that's what rolling forecast does. It is based on the current scenario rather than the traditional planning process where everything was based on prior trends. What happened in the past, what have we learned from the past, and how do we apply that to our future planning? That is very unlike rolling forecast. It is quick, dynamic, and always looking in the front of what's coming. What that helps us do is allocate our resources appropriately to what is required now rather than what we thought it's required 6 months back. And that is a critical success factor of rolling forecast. And if I may again use the dreaded word of coronavirus, I'm sorry to say that, but it did teach us all a lot. And especially, I'll give you an example of people in finance. What one thing we realized is our old way of traditional forecasting sounds and looked and behaved a bit outdated. All of a sudden, March 2020 taught us loads of lessons which we may have been thinking in the past of how do we do it better, how do we support our businesses better. But came March 2020, we had no other option but to relook at how we do planning. Let me give you an example, like what happened in my scenario or our scenario is, as soon as March struck, we realized that the plan which was put in place, which was a full year plan based on what we have done, what we want to do in the year, became obsolete immediately because there were loads of things we could not do. The business was trending differently for us, for our customers, and for the whole organization and the globe. So we had to repurpose and reiterate our resources, our funds, and have to understand how do we best utilize the resources and the money and the investments we want to do as per the current scenario. And what do we understand of the current scenario right now? To be very honest, March didn't give us much results. Everybody thought it's a small thing and we will get over it in next 3 to 6 months. But that learning experience has been huge. What it has taught us is just relying on traditional forecasting and thinking everything will come to fruition. It's not really the right way to go forward. But it's very easy to say rolling forecast is the way. So I do want to touch point on what are the key success factors which you will see highlighted in my next slide. But for my personal experience, one of the biggest success factor of changing any processes or any fundamental shaking up how things have been done for a long time is culture and mindset. Like, it has to come from within, and at a grassroots level we have to change how we start thinking about things, whether it's traditional, why we did traditional forecasting, or why we have to go through rolling forecasting. And in my next slide, and I will talk about where we are in this journey, but we do have to change about cultural mindset shift. And I'll go back to my key success factors again, because also, along with cultural and mindset shift, the few other things which are important is having a robust system and processes. And my panelist Chris will talk about various things which Anaplan gives and supports during this process for various organization. But people may have system and processes which enables them to quickly move into rolling forecast, but that is definitely required. And when I talk about driver waste model here in on this slide, what I mean by is, because we are not looking at what happened in the past, and that's what will derive what will happen in the future. We need to have driver based assumptions based on our forecasting process of where we want to go. What do you think this industry will trend into based on what is available in the market? How is the political scenario of a country going to change? How are trade rules going to change? And loads of other things which drives how we go into forecasting our into our rolling forecast model. Alignment is very, very important, not just within finance, but how we align with our business partner. And again, part of the culture and mindset shift, we have to take the whole business unit together in this journey. Because let's be real, as finance partners, we just don't want to be somebody who's giving out targets and then sitting back and watch. We want to be partners in driving the business success. And unless we start changing our traditional way of doing things, that role becomes harder and harder. So this is a very new concept, and I will be surprised and very excited to hear how many of us are in this journey. But definitely this is the way forward, and more discussions are required. So let me show you in my next slide how we are, like, how I think where we are doing. Go saying and discussing rolling forecast and having an aspiration on going into rolling forecast is amazing, but very honestly, it is a long, tedious journey. Even with all the system processes and right intent, it is a hard process. So what currently can be done as per my experience is, we all have done traditional forecasting, and most of us do annual budgeting forecasting process. To create a bridge between getting into a fully rolling forecast method, create a hybrid method in which you do a annual planning cycle where you create annual budgets and give out targets and whatever everybody is used to it forever. We create a monthly forecasting cycle along with it, which looks at what's happening in the future, what's coming in the future, and that derives and gives us the risk and opportunities we want to help our business with. We want to tell them that based on the annual budget, this is your target, but the rolling forecast on a monthly basis gives another idea of, well, we have won a really big contract which wasn't part of the annual budget, which creates opportunities in our numbers. And we didn't foresee coronavirus coming, which sees risks in our business. So all that hybrid method gives us a step to go to next level of rolling forecast. So I'm very interested to hear how all of you will vote in our next polling questions. But over to you, Larissa, and I am excited to hear some of my panelists speak about scenario planning, which can also be part of the hybrid method of how Richard will talk about the examples they have used in their organization. But I am really excited of how everybody to tell us what they are doing and what other questions they may have about rolling forecast.